Today we've got our very first look at this, the Look 795 Blade RS. Now I know I've talked about this on the channel because I got so excited when they launched this bike at the Tour de France, and the customer just saw it the same as we did, said yes, I really want one, got straight on the phone to us. They were the first to order it. This is the first one to arrive in this beautiful, the iconic colour, which is that Mondrian colour scheme, which if you're going to own a Look, this is the colour that you need to have. So it's been patiently waiting all this time. We've literally unboxed it, and a massive thank you to this customer because they want to do a home build, but they've allowed us to unbox it and show you guys, because we're not going to get one of these that we could actually ride on the channel. I think February is when it's actually due to arrive. We actually do a test ride, so this really is a very first privileged look. This area, you can see the red, the yellow into the white and the blue is all a really high gloss finish with a matte finish across the top. Everything else is a deep matte black, absolutely stunning. It really is very eye-catching. It is that iconic look that you have to have when you're a Look. The quality of the finishing of Look is so beautiful. It's slightly different to Time. It just comes out of the pre-preg. This isn't a resin transfer like Time is, but the pre-preg layup is so perfect, and you can always tell that someone has gone back and revisited and checked, because you can see where paint has just been removed or checked. The inside of the seat tube is just so smooth. I can just put a finger in there and run that around. There is not a slightest bit of rough surface. The head tube all around here, beautifully smooth. And I can put my finger all the way through there, and that is just absolutely perfect. And the paint, there's not a single chip on any of these edges. But you can see the little scratch marks where you can see that someone has just gone in there and perhaps just removed a little bit of paint just to make sure that that bearing will sit absolutely perfect. The bottom underneath here, this is just a raw carbon finish in this sort of sculpted part for the fork. Bottom bracket, Look are going to a T47 internal on all of their frames now, which I really like. So you've got this big aluminium insert to really help with that alignment. The faces on here, you can see where the carbon and the aluminium have been faced to be perfectly flat against each other, and that paint has been removed. It's really reassuring, and there's big holes in there so that if you are fitting a Di2 junction box, you've got space to really get in there and get to that junction box if you need to. They've actually run one cable for you for the rear mech. They haven't done the same for the front mech, which is a bit weird. So it has got a derailleur mount, and the front derailleur mount is removable. I like that because there is a bit of a trend to now go one by, even on this sort of a bike setup. Might not be for you, but the option is there. You can remove it and get that clean aero look. Down here at the brake mounts, similar story. They've elevated them slightly above the chainstay, which means if you do need to face them, you've got some material there to work with, but you don't need to. You can tell these have been faced. There's not even any paint at the surface. That's just been taken back. It's so nice to see. And they've done that on both sides, not just ignored the bottom, but even the bottom of those brake facings is perfect. On the axle dropouts, again, you can just see where someone's gone back there and just very carefully with a knife, like we showed you in that Ridley video, they've actually gone through and just removed it to make sure that is perfectly flat. The rear derailleur hanger is one of their standard rear derailleur hangers. It's a two-piece design, which I love. The bolt is far away from any sort of weakness in the carbon as well, and the two-piece that clamps together, so you should get a really good sturdy mount from that. Just take a quick look at the fork, and you can see the fork has got the gloss here, so when this interacts with each other, that looks so sleek and aerodynamic. This fork, beautifully shaped. The steerer tube is absolutely perfect. It's one of the smoothest feeling bits of carbon you'll ever feel. But also the exit point for the brake hose comes right out the center. So quite often you'll see these come out the side, which means you kind of get a weird tanglement with the front brake hose. With this, you can run that brake hose right the way up, tape it down, and then all you've got is the rear brake hose running where you want it to. So I think this is a fantastic way of routing. It's going to be slightly tricky to route it, but it's the sort of thing that you only do once, and once it's in place, I think that will sit really well, and you won't get that annoying click that you sometimes get when it's routed to the side and it interferes with the rear. On the top here, this is a really good thick piece of carbon, perfectly round, uniform thickness the whole way around as well. It's just typical Look, attention to detail and quality. And when you get one of these, you can just tell that someone's put so much care and attention to make sure all the details are absolutely perfect. Now the big news with any sort of look stuff is how they integrate the entire system, and there's no difference with this new RS. So have a very similar seat post design. I do like this. So what they've done, keep it really, really simple. A Di2 battery goes in here, there's these two little holes, and you just simply use a zip tie just to hold that Di2 battery down, and there's a couple of O-rings to make sure nothing wobbles or makes a noise. The actual mounting for the seat post, again, this is very familiar from the old Blade, is these beautifully machined, I think stainless steel adjustment nuts so that you can adjust the tilt and then come back and adjust the torque as well. This top plate here, molded piece of carbon, again, absolutely beautiful gloss finish. You won't even see that, but it's just so nice that they've even finished that. And the little seat post bung. Now again, this is a feature that you'll just never see, but normally these are very rough finished and not really much to talk about, but look, just don't do anything by halves. And even this is beautifully finished. It's a very high quality piece. You can just tell when you're working with look stuff. So when you buy a 795 blade, you have to specify what stem length and what handlebars that you want. And they've done this two-piece design so that you can just make your stem longer without having to change out your entire setup. So this is their stem. It looks all a bit bonkers like this. This is the 110 millimeter, and it's in that matte finish. And you can see where they're going with this. So the handlebars are going to bolt onto this, and they've got this cover situation going on here. So it's 3 bolts. And in the box, when you buy this, you actually get the compression bung, and it's a really good full-length compression bung as well. You have the little compression nut, so your hoses and possibly your Di2 cable as well, if you need it to, are all going to run through here. And they come into the stem in this little aperture, and the hoses run through here and come out of these 2 little apertures just here. So slightly tricky cabling routing to get that done, but then you can probably swap out handlebars from there a little bit easier than you could do from a whole one-piece setup. What I like about this is you have a massive amount of spacers if you need to, from 1 centimeter to 5 millimeters, and these are split so that you can open these up and get them through without having to undo all the hoses. And you think that's kind of pointless with this setup, but look, I've actually thought about that, because when you get a bike like this, you're a bit nervous about where to cut the steerer. So they've got this complete aerodynamic blanking section here, which actually magnetizes onto the top there. This covers everything up and makes it look really aero. But if you're not sure where you want to cut the steerer, there's an alternative setup here where you can have this aperture and you can put headset spacers on the top here. It's going to look a bit ugly, but again, if you're not sure where you want to cut it, this gives you the opportunity of setting your height until you're absolutely 100% confident, and then you can switch back to this setup. And that's all included in the box. I think that is such a lovely detail to give you that option of setting the height without necessarily having to cut it and commit to it every single time. This is how that handlebar intersects. You've got this section here with bolts going through, and then we have this little carbon piece here that closes all that off. So that's how that will look when it's all constructed. Those cables can run through the stem, through this aperture here, out here or here, depending on which sort of brand of brake levers that you're working and where you want those cables to run. I think that is just a beautifully smooth looking cockpit, and I love the fact that it's just got that look and the Mondrian colours on the front that all just ties in beautifully. That looks really, really smart. So there's a whole range of handlebars. I think they go right the way down to a 36 and up to as much as a 44, I believe, and the stem lengths, I think, from anything from 80 up to 130. So you've got quite a lot to play with there. Other little details, you even get a CNC machined aluminium Garmin mount with look branding on the front with a sort of the GoPro style, which is, these are quite useful especially if you want a little camera on the front or one of those piezo mounts for your aerodynamics. But they also come with all the Wahoo mounts and various different fittings and adapters as well. So all of that is included, nothing else you need to add to that, which kind of needs to be, because everything you're looking at there, the retail price here in the UK is £5,390, which is a lot of money for a frame set. So I know we're talking telephone number prices here, and we're turning into an episode of Top Gear or something where it's just pie in the sky, dream cars we're reviewing, but I think it's kind of good fun. And when we look at some of the prices of bikes in this category that are out there, things like the Pinarello Dogma F, 6,250 quid. And I think we've seen on the channel before that those frames are very rarely in spec. The paint finish is pretty poor, and the handlebars that come with it are definitely not worth that kind of money. The Cervelo S5, 5,400 quid. Again, some funky shapes on there, race winning pedigree, but 5,400 quid. So the look comes in at 5,390 quid and has all that amazing specifications and build quality, looks all right. But what about the mainstream brand? Specialized S-Works SL8 just been launched. I went to go and check one out a few days ago. Really nothing special on that at all, but that was going to set you back £5,225. Cannondale Lab 71 Super 6, 5,200 quid. Again, very normal sort of handlebar setups. It's got quite a fancy paintwork, but really nothing special compared to those premium brands we mentioned. And of course the Colnago, the V4 RS, again, race winning pedigree, actually looks like a bargain of just 4,850 quid for the whole handlebar frame setup. So these are interesting times we're living in. I don't know about you, but I think I know which one I'd rather have. As you can imagine, I am desperate to get hold of one of these and actually take it for a ride. I cannot wait. I think of all the premium road bikes out there right now, this just has to be the one. It looks fantastic. The build quality is amazing. The value when you benchmark it is there. That's not necessarily say it's a good thing right now. It is what it is. But I think if you were to compare this to what else is on the market for this sort of money, I think you would be very, very happy unboxing this for yourself and just, I mean, it just feels fantastic. Like I say, March, if we're lucky to get our hands on one that we can actually ride. If you like this video, please get down in the comments and let us know what you think. All right, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.